doing something a little bit different with the opposition view this week, of course, because we played Leeds twice in the space of 8 days on Sunday at the London Stadium. In the FA Cup third round, West Ham coming out reasonably comfortable 2-0 winners. Probably would have been less comfortable if Dan James, former Manchester United star, could have found his shooting boots. But alas, it wasn't to be for the visiting horde of Leeds fans, around 9,000 of them, I think. Decent showing on Sunday, and we will look ahead as well because they make that long old trip down the M1 again Sunday afternoon for the game at the London Stadium in the Premier League. I'm delighted to say joining us is friend and colleague of the show, or colleague of mine, friend of the show, sports journalist from The Sun. It's Kieran Benn, and a big Leeds fan. Kieran, delighted to have you with us. Got to get your reaction first, I think, mate. So look back to that game in the FA Cup on Sunday. All in all, I think West Ham, my opinion, West Ham seemed to be the better team and controlled much of the game. However, chances-wise, we were very, very sloppy, I thought. And when you leave it to 1-0, the game is always there for the taking, or the draw is always there to be had. A couple of big chances missed by you guys. But what did you make of the performance from your team as a whole?
Thanks for having me. The performance was it's been a lot of what it's been, say, the last month or so with it's sort of a chop change team. Performance wise, don't think we played at all very well. We couldn't create anything. It was like in the first half we fought well and we stayed in the game, but there wasn't, it wasn't like chance after chance for us. It was that for West Ham, and I thought Jarrod Bowen was probably I was most impressed by Jarrod Bowen, but he's been doing it for weeks now, hasn't he? So I think we had two young debuts with Lewis Bate and Helder at the back. I thought Helder did really well against Antonio. I thought that was quite a good battle. Similar to Charlie Cresswell early in the season with Antonio at Ellen Road. They had a good battle. It was two youngsters. So that's the kind of the positive of the whole thing, really. It's that you got two youngsters playing, made the debuts, but we just lacked any creativity or link-up play. And even when we pressed, I felt West Ham just always looked comfortable.
Did you? I mean, I sort of felt a little bit disappointed for the away fans. I get this sense from talking to you away from the podcast, Darren from LS11, who we had on last week, looking ahead to that game. There doesn't seem to be any animosity from Leeds fans towards Bielsa, which again, mainly it seems because it's his first real huge blip since he's been in charge, and you're massively rocked by injuries as well. Any team without Calvin Phillips, particularly, and also Bamford, as well as the other guys you've got out at the moment. There's no one really that rattled towards Bielsa. I almost felt bad because I always love, that's one of my favourite things about football is large away followings and vociferous away followings and big away wins. I love being part of it, and I thought it really made the occasion on Sunday. As much as I was disappointed to get Leeds when the draw was made, because I thought, that's a bit banana skinny and I'd rather have had Rotherham at home or someone. Where, as it turned out, it was a brilliant occasion. Some of those third round ties can be awful. My housemate went up to Leyton Orient away at Stoke at the weekend, and there was like 1,000 Leyton Orient fans and only barely 5,000 fans in the whole ground. 9,000 odd Leeds fans there was there, which I thought was brilliant. It really made for a spectacle and made the occasion look good, because it also made the home end look fuller as well, with that end taken up. I was a little bit sort of almost disappointed on the Leeds fans' behalf, because for that whole game, there was really nothing you could get your teeth into or get excited about or really get behind. It was almost like Bielsa had decided before he wasn't that bothered about going on in the competition. Did you get that sense, or is there any disappointment from your side?
Obviously, when you watch a team at any point, you want to perform and you want to be able to at least go away thinking we gave a good go of it, which I think you could really argue we did that for the last maybe 10 minutes of the game, I think, really, because the rest of it was so loose and just doesn't. I think I've said this to you before with our teams when we don't have players. So like Bamford and Calvin Phillips are our two most important players, and obviously Bamford got a bit of a knock after just come back from injury again on the weekend, so couldn't play. So we've got Sam Greenwood up front. I think when you've got a system which is basically working up by practice and practice and practice, so it's like clockwork. When you've got so many players out, it's not really, it just doesn't click. And on the weekend, it almost looks like it's too slow. Usually when we've played, and when I spoke to you before, maybe in our first season, not so much against West Ham, but in the other games, it does move quick, and we move quick up the field, and we start these passages of play that are so rehearsed and so memorable, and you can pretty much say what we're going to do every time. But it just doesn't work at the moment, especially with players out, and it's sort of a chop and change team. And it's really, really frustrating as a fan to see your team play so well. As you guys know, say when your team's playing so well and you've seen them do it before, and then they just don't, and they can't. And but I think, to be honest with you, that's a massive credit to your club, because you have had a massive change around it, and come and playing great football. You had a strong team out, so that if anything, that's kind of a little bit of a, I don't know what the word is for us. It makes us feel a bit better about it, because we
yeah, sure,
strong West Ham team. I think we just need our players back to be able to do to push on. Played Burnley the other week, and we had a bit of a better team together. Played quite well. Played one of our best performances of the season, and won that. And you start to think, okay, we might have a chance here. But then going into the game of the weekend, we just nothing clicked from defence, midfield, or in attack. Sam Greenwood barely touched the ball, so yeah, it's tough.
Jonesy, what did you? I mean, you've sort of heard what Kieran said there about credit to our club. I thought, just from because we're doing this a bit different, just a bit conversational, more about West Ham side of stuff. James, what Kieran's touched on it there, the strength of our team. I was honestly, I was delighted when the strong team. I know we've got Norwich again Wednesday, and Moyes sort of spoke on it. I think literally today on Monday, I think he said that he's not going to make a huge deal about. We've got a lot of games, and that's that. But he still played a really strong team, and it seemed to be somewhat of a signal of intent. Because I think with the fans, he certainly would have got away with playing a slightly more weakened side, perhaps. If a couple of youngsters had got a run out, I don't think there'd have been too many grumblings. He didn't. He went for a really strong team, and it paid dividends. Were you pleased with that, or did you think it was a bit of a risk?
I mean, there's always a risk, particularly when you consider the size of our squad. So much being made of the fact we haven't got a real strength in depth. So yeah, there's always a
risk. Then, do you think?
I think so. 3 games in a week, it's always going to be a little bit of a risk. But I think when you consider the fact that David Moyes has always said that he'll give every competition a good go, and he's only really weakened a starting 11 in that final group stage Europa League game where we'd already qualified, which didn't matter. So, and he's the type of manager that shows respect to every competition that he plays in. So I wasn't really surprised to see the starting 11 so strong as it was. And I think, yeah, it's a sort of competition. Given that we've been good in the league, we can afford to go for the FA Cup a little bit, like we did last season as well. So, yeah, I was happy to see it. Happy to see the starting 11 the way it was. And the only grumbling I've got is that it seems a bit weird that Fornal seems to have drifted off into the bench a little bit.
I do not understand that.
Yeah, I do not get it. It's a strange one. But obviously Lanzini's in great form. But I would have probably liked to have seen Fornal's start. But other than that, yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah. What do you make of Leeds then? Well, we've got Kieran with us, Jonesy, because the only thing you say that was your only grumbling. My main grumbling of that entire afternoon was just how completely wasteful we were in the final third. Illan Meslier has never, ever had such an easy round of catching practice in his entire life. I'm not even joking, mate. There was so many, wherever it was from, corners, free kicks, dead balls, open play crosses. It was just like, no, you stay where you are, Illan. We'll put it on the plate for you, son. You can have this one. Don't worry about it. Time and time again. It was absolutely infuriating me.
I think we're very fortunate that Leeds' team was weaker. I think we're fortunate that Rafinha didn't start the game, because well, as the game went on, I know we came in at half time, but as the game went on, we were all saying near us was like, it's only 1-0. We're wasting chances. There's only one way this game's going, and that's Leeds getting a late equaliser and it going to penalties, and then Leeds nicking it, because it was the sort of, you could see it.
Yeah.
Okay. We got the goal on the counter attack at the end to seal it, but you could almost see it playing out in front of us that we were going to end up throwing it away, despite being the better team on the day, in my opinion. But yeah, I thought it's difficult to really judge Leeds. And as Kieran's already said, the amount of injuries that Leeds have got, it's very difficult to judge Leeds based on that performance, given the fact that the 2-star players are out. Rafinha only played after the game. A couple of young debutantes in there. And I don't know what Kieran thinks, but really, can't really afford an FA Cup run given the league form. Do you not think, Kieran?
I personally, I'm in that position. Well, it's different from, I say, how our teams differ. I think West Ham on the brink of being able to maybe challenge Champions League places, just based off the fact that your form is so good, and you've got a good manager, you've got a good setup. I think FA Cup as a competition, West Ham definitely should always take seriously, because it's a chance you've actually got to win in silverware. Because I mean, no disrespect, you're not going to win the league, are you? So, and it's tough in Europe. For us, I think let's just keep our players fit in the league. We need to stay up. This is a massive season, bigger than last season, because if we survive this season, we could really actually push on. We just need to survive this season. It's always been the goal. I think yesterday was just it was nice to see the youngsters start, and I wouldn't want to get any more players injured. It would be more frustrating. I think that the game just went the way I kind of expected it to. Hoped obviously it wouldn't. I mean, let's not talk about the first goal, even though it should have been offside. But regardless of that, at the end of it, I was thinking, when it was 2-0, I was like, well, they probably wouldn't have scored the second one if we didn't push up so much, because we wouldn't have been 1-0 down with it. It's just that's just excuses, isn't it? Because West Ham were quality, and I think the fair result of the game was always going to be a West Ham win. I think injuries wise, for our side, if we don't get our players back quickly, or at least Bamford gets a regular get running the side, because that's where our press starts. And it's what we've been lacking is our main striker, which is like the most important position, as well as Calvin Phillips. So what we need is Bamford regularly back in the side, and we might be able to pick up points here and there. But until that happens, I think we're going to continue to struggle.
Happy New Year from our friends over at Manscaped. It's that time of the year when we all commit to changing something in our lives for the better. So why not turn to Manscaped to ensure your grooming is on point and the best it can be throughout 2022. As New Year's resolutions go, pledging your commitment to your male grooming routine is the least you can do. And Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to ensure you don't drop the ball early on and remain consistent in keeping things neat and tidy all year round. And to help you get off to the perfect start, you can get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code WeAreWestHam. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com with the code WeAreWestHam.
Yep, the Manscaped Performance Package has everything to boost your below-the-waist grooming game, from the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer with advanced skin-safe technology that reduces cuts and nicks, the Crop Preserver, which is a spray that protects against chafing, and the Crop Reviver, which will ensure things down there remain fresh at all times. To top it all off, you even get a shed travel bag, so you can carry all of your precious Manscaped products in style everywhere you go. Will, have you got any grooming-related New Year's resolutions knocking about?
Well, mate, as you know, we got our hands on the weed whackers earlier this year, and whilst I thought I was a bit too young for trimming nose hair, I had noticed a couple of rogue ones creeping out the nearer I got to 30. So yeah, that's my resolution this year: regular use on the weed whacker, and make sure those nose hairs are in check and there's no rogue ones creeping out for everyone to see.
Fair. Mine is just to be a bit more on top of it. I have the same New Year's resolution every year, which is just to be better at everything. And everything in that bracket, everything is maybe a little bit of fitness, work, parenting now. And now I've got another one, which is grooming. So I'm going to be better at grooming, self-grooming, below and above the waist. And the nose hairs definitely need to be done a little bit more regularly than they have been. So yeah, I'm with you on that one, mate.
Glad to hear it.
So to get your hands on the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0 and to see all the other top quality male grooming products they have available this new year, head over to manscaped.com today. And remember, get 20% off and free shipping with the code WeAreWestHam. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code WeAreWestHam at manscaped.com. Have no regrets this year with our friends at Manscaped.
You mentioned it there, Kieran. You said, let's not talk about it. Well, let's talk about it. James, you first. Jared Bowen. Now, I'll be honest, I saw the highlights back briefly earlier, and they didn't really dwell on the offside, and I didn't see any still images. I was obviously in the ground. I was a bit baffled. At first, I was like, oh, that's going to get given, because I just saw a still on the big screen in the stadium. And so can someone just explain to me what part in the passage of play was he deemed or suspected to have been offside? Was the original pass, or was it when it was all... James is just shaking his head like it was never offside at any point.
I think it was the melee, wasn't it? It was all like everyone was falling all over each other.
To me, it looked like the shot. It looked like the shot from, pardon me, was it Lanzini or Bowen? The shot, and then he was offside from that moment. And then because he challenged it as a shot, because it's not, our defender didn't try and play the ball, which is obviously the rule now, isn't it? If someone tries to play the ball, then the offside gets revoked or whatever the word is. But as he kicked it, he was offside, and then because he challenged it, it just I could not believe it wasn't given offside, because I was like, oh well, okay, thank God, like back to square one again, because it's going to be 0-0. And I was just baffled, because surely he interfered with play. Like, how do you not interfere with play when you basically stand on the goalkeeper? Obviously, I think the goalkeeper, but he stood in front of him. Like, he would have made the save. He could have maybe claimed it off the back of it, or at least done a better job if Bowen wasn't there. I think one of my West Ham friends said to me, if it was the other way around, I think you'd say differently. I thought, I actually don't. I think I'd accept an offside there.
I was going to ask you that. Yeah. Would you, if it was the other way around, would you be like, oh, we've got away with one there?
I honestly, I think if that had been given offside, it's very easy for me to say this, and I understand that, but I think maybe probably more a question for you guys. If that had been given offside, surely you would have just thought, oh, well, yeah, I can see why.
Jonesy?
I can't see why the other way around.
Yeah, I think you can. I would probably feel the same. But then I think the key thing here is the fact that where VAR's involved, like it's brought in for if it's a clear and obvious error. And I don't think that was a clear and obvious error. And the fact it took them, 3 or 4 minutes to really try and work out whether it was offside or it wasn't offside, and then they made the decision rightly or wrongly. And we're now debating it now. Still, was it offside? Was it like, it's not a clear and obvious error. So, yeah, okay, probably would accept that it was offside. But at the same time, if it's not clear and obvious error, then why did it even go to VAR in the first place? If you know what I mean, like, it's a goal because it's not clear and obvious error. Because we're still talking about whether it was or it wasn't.
It's for me, that's one. I know they don't really do it with offsides, but that for me, that would be one to sort of send the ref over and say, do you think he's interfering with play? And then the ref makes that.
I mean, that does. So, lads, I'm just watching it back again, right? I'm just watching it back here to get a clear idea for myself. And it's Vlasic, isn't it? Vlasic rolls the defender on the edge of the box, turns his way, makes his way towards goal. I was screaming for a penalty then, because it seemed like he was getting tugged back when he was through. So I was screaming for a pen then. But if it's that action from Vlasic, Bowen is in an offside position. He runs towards it, and then the melee ensues. Yeah, I can see what you mean, because if Bowen doesn't challenge for the ball with Meslier on the floor, it doesn't then spit out again for Lanzini to knock it in. But as it was a blatant 100% penalty on Vlasic, who was being tugged back on his way through, I think we can move on from this and say justice was definitely done. Bowen's goal at the end obviously was on the counter attack. Kieran, Dan James, I believe he was the one who missed both of what looked from where I was sitting to be absolute screaming sitters.
Oh, no way.
With the highlights seemed to sort of cut him a little bit of slack. I think perhaps they're a bit harder than where they looked from where I was sitting at the other end. What did you make of those, and your opinion on those as well, Jonesy? Because I know it's down your end of the ground.
It was what I expected it to be. You know, when the ball comes whipping in like that, you either get a bit of luck or you don't. I think that there's not much Dan could have done, and especially that second one. I think it was it
Or
Dawson?
you're a pro footballer who used to play for Man United and you divert it in. That is one of the options that could happen as well.
Let's not mention he used to play for Man United. I think it's unfortunate. The Dawson one, I think anybody in the world would have expected Dawson to be able to clear that. So when it's coming like that, how are you really going to just react that quickly? I think the other one just I can't. You're going to have to remember. It just hit him again, didn't it? And it just went wide of the right post. I've got no complaints about it, mainly because if you look at the way of the game anyway, if it was, if I thought, oh, this game is going either way and we've really got a chance of getting something here, those were our two chances the whole game. And I don't think either of them were clear cut, really, because of the way it happened. I think if you say, oh, you've got a player standing in the middle of the goal or in the 6-yard box and the ball comes into him, they should always score. It's not really the way football works, is it?
No, I see what you mean, mate. Yeah, fair enough. I'd say from where I was sitting, I was like, as soon as it was approaching him, I was like, that's in. Jonesy, kind of back up what Kieran said there, because I was like, blimey, like we have got away with two absolute stonkers there, but apparently not.
I think we felt more for the second one. He should have probably done a lot better, and we kind of all gasped a little bit. And like, go in front of me, he had his head in his hands, kind of like, oh my god, like here we go again.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of do agree with Kieran. I think the second one it fisted him a little bit. Should have done better, I think, given he used to play for Man United and stuff like that. And expecting to be a little bit better, but yeah, I think I do agree with Kieran. I don't think they were as clear cut as they initially seemed in real time.
Yeah,
but you'd expect a player like Dan James to do a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Well, look, West Ham, I think we're all agreed. It's fair to say that West Ham deserved to win the game. I was a little bit concerned with how sloppy we seemed to be in the final third. But ultimately, a reasonably comfortable performance, I thought, and absolutely delighted to get through that. Kidderminster away in the fourth round we've got, which was an absolutely beautiful draw. I was genuinely in a bad mood listening to it because before West Ham came out, I was in the car on the way back from the game and there was a few like all championship ties, all the big teams were still left in. I was like, here we go. I don't know why I even bother. I can't be bothered. Cup competitions are stupid. What's the point of this? We're going to win the league anyway. I don't even care. And then we got Kidderminster like bouncing away on the 406. Yeah, that game is scheduled to take place the weekend 4th, 5th and 6th of February. I've heard conflicting things at the moment. One report suggesting it's 3 o'clock on the Saturday. Another suggested it was Friday night. The Friday night one may be likely, I would imagine, given they'll probably want to put it on the TV. Do you know that for certain, Jonesy? Or
I don't think it's been announced yet, but
no.
if it's not picked for TV, then I'd be amazed.
Yeah, Google are telling me that it's the 5th, and my Apple Maps automatic West Ham calendar, West Ham fixtures update that goes in my calendar is telling me it's a Friday. So sure that'll be confirmed within time. Kieran, let's have a look ahead then to this game on Sunday in the Premier League. It's a strange situation, isn't it? I explained to you before, I think I had to pick one because of my work schedule. I either went to the cup game or the league games before I got to the cup. Just something a bit different, and just in case you went out, it does add a bit of a weird dynamic to the game. Well, I suppose what you're expecting, if anything, to be different at the London Stadium on Sunday. I mean, the weather's likely going to be the same. It's the kickoff time is exactly the same time. You sort of feel a little bit Groundhog Day. Hopefully it is with the result as well. But what changes at all are you expecting to your team, the performance, the game, the result, whatever?
It is weird, isn't it? You don't usually get this kind of schedule. But what I'd like to see is more like a performance as we had against Burnley. I'd like to see Bamford's injury that apparently he's picked up on his hip ahead of the game on the weekend not to be serious, so he can play.
Loves an injury, doesn't he?
Yeah, do you know? I went. There was a Brentford game. Start of December, first game back. Come on, scored in the 90th minute to equalise, and then got injured from the celebration, and now he's injured again. So I don't know what's going on there. But him back could change things, but just solely based on unbalancing the game with a press, because you're too comfortable at the back. I thought on the weekend. I thought that's what was most frustrating for me is Sam Greenwood was making the press, but the team almost weren't backing each other in places. But that's probably because the players aren't used to playing with each other at that point. But I'd like to see more of a lineup that we're familiar to see, and maybe Koch and Llorente at the back in centre half, with Firpo and Ayling as fullbacks. I think that's probably our best hope for keeping more of a solid defence. And I'd like to see Forshaw start in the midfield because he's been brilliant since he's come back from injury. I just think it's going to be difficult to really see much more of a different outcome. I think West Ham you've beat us every time that we've played you. I mean, the one earlier this season when I think it was Rafinha who opened the goal scoring and Antonio won it in the last second. I thought, again, it seems every time I have a bit of hope for it, but this is the one where I'm thinking I actually don't have that much hope for picking up 3 points this time around.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I must admit it's strange, isn't it? Because sometimes when that happens, it has happened in the past with like the double games and all that sort of stuff. It almost sometimes gives each manager a chance to figure out something about the other team, but I don't think West Ham particularly exposed anything. There was no like secret weapon, was there? There was just like turn up and play better than Leeds, and that's kind of what happened. Jonesy, your thoughts ahead of the game is maybe it's misplaced, but I'm almost a little bit overconfident about this. I really can't see there being any problem. I mean, we could have played for another couple of weeks. All right, especially as the Dan James chances weren't as easy as I thought. Yeah, we were just sloppy. We need to be more clinical. But I'm almost in the mindset where it could be more. We could go out and do a 3 or a 4-0 or a 3 or a 4-1 at the weekend rather than just the somewhat conservative 2-0 that we got on Sunday.
I mean, it's a difficult one to call because I think Leeds will be stronger in terms of the lineup. As Kieran just said, I think we'll see a different Leeds. Whether it's completely different Leeds, given the injuries, it's a different matter. But there'll be a stronger lineup. Will probably be unchanged depending on what happens against Norwich on Wednesday. So yeah, I'm a little bit cautious to be kind of as overconfident as you are, Will, because as much as we're having a great season up to this point, we're still West Ham, and that we can't take anything for granted, even if we have suddenly become massive all of a sudden. You know, we are still West Ham, and we are very occasionally just reminded that we're still West Ham. So I'm quietly confident that we can get another result, but I wouldn't be, we should go and win this 3-4-1 or 3-4-0 because you just never know, Dan. Especially given that we've still got a game to play against Norwich on Wednesday. You don't know what's going to happen with that one.
Yeah, fair enough. All right then, lads. Well, look, Kieran, it's been brilliant having you with us again on the show, as we always do. Just give us a score prediction Sunday afternoon, 2 p.m, repeat of last week's game at the London Stadium, only this time in the Premier League.
Do I have to? I'm always positive with the score predictions. So let's just go with a 1-1 draw.
A 1-1 draw, says Kieran. 16th place Leeds, played 19 on 19 points, 8 points clear of Burnley, who are in 18th. So 8 points clear of the relegation zone. Unlikely Burnley are going to win both those games in hand. One of them's against Tottenham, I know. It's just quickly then, Jonesy, we'll do yours first, and then I'll ask you one more little yes or no question before you go, Kieran. Jonesy, score prediction?
I'm going to go for the same scoreline, 2-0. We've beaten Leeds 2-0 both times they've come to London Stadium, so I fancy making a hat-trick.
Okay, nice one. So 2-0 was that, mate? Sorry, it dipped out a bit then. 2-0. I'm going to go big. I'm going to go 4-1. I just reckon. I do think we've got a concession in us. But yeah, I just feel confident. I reckon we're going to absolutely wallop Norwich. And yeah, I think it's going to be the same. I genuinely think West Ham could score 8 goals in the next 2 games. That's what I'm saying.
I'm clipping this moment, all right?
Mate, we've got 2 1-0 defeats incoming now, you know.
Yeah, potentially so, mate. Potentially so. But look, Kieran, it's been brilliant having you with us on the We Are West Ham podcast again. Kieran Benn there, sports journalist from The Sun and